Under my security-related materials, you often ask which VPN I recommend, and of course none of them is perfect. But when it comes to the price-to-capabilities ratio, security and speed, according to independent tests and user opinions, including mine, the best choice is CyberGhost. It perfectly secures our connection, ensuring anonymity no matter what device you use. The application is clear, easy to use, and it's available in Polish, so everyone will be able to navigate it without any problem. One of the biggest advantages that sets CyberGhost apart from the rest is its use of a modern security protocol that perfectly encrypts data while at the same time being much lighter on mobile processors. After all, not everyone sits at a desktop computer. These days, more and more people are using laptops and above all smartphones. It's for these mobile devices that the new protocol is so important, because when competing apps based on old protocols run in the background, they drain the battery at lightning speed. In the CyberGhost app on any device, you just need to switch the protocol to WireGuard, which won't put as much strain on your device's processor, and as a result it won't drain the battery as much either. Anyway, there are many more advantages. There are also some drawbacks, which I will definitely mention, so I invite you to watch the entire video carefully. This is Pavel and you're watching the Tech Maniac HD channel. Welcome. I won't hide the fact that although the topic of online security is very important, it's also quite boring, and hardly anyone likes to talk about, let alone listen to, how we should behave online or what we should avoid. But even if we take care of cybersecurity as much as we can, something will always slip through, and cybercrime is constantly on the rise. Encrypting your connection and masking your IP address are the first steps you should take to improve your security. There are several reasons to use a VPN, the main one being to make online monitoring more difficult or impossible. Internet providers store our entire browsing history, even if they don't use this data themselves, for example to create a targeted marketing campaign. There have been many cases where the provider, just to make some extra money, decided to sell such data in bulk to third-party companies. And what those companies did with that data nobody really looked into. CyberGhost is based in a country that lets them implement a zero-logs policy. Therefore, even if an institution or any government agency from another country asks them to provide user data, they won't share it because they simply don't have it. That's the main value of a VPN and what we're paying for. That's why such a serious company can't afford to have its competence in this area questioned in any way. That's why independent security audits are carried out by Deloitte, which is an external company. And just to be clear, this isn't some shady little company, but a huge organization with a global reach. CyberGhost has nothing to hide, which is why all the reports are available on their website and everyone can access them. I wonder how much panic internet providers would be in if such an audit were conducted on them, although I have a feeling that won't happen anytime soon. And since your provider knows what you're connecting to and for what purpose, many of them resort to throttling your connection speed. Yes, your provider knows when you're watching Netflix, HBO Max, or Disney. They also know very well that the app automatically lowers the video quality when your internet speed drops. This lets you watch uninterrupted and without buffering, but the quality suffers. But the providers couldn't care less that you're paying extra for 4K. They often throttle the speed of transmissions to addresses leading to streaming platforms, which saves them money. CyberGhost has a special streaming mode, so your provider won't have any idea what you're connecting to, and that way you can enjoy the quality you're paying for. Many people also choose a VPN to get access to Polish streaming services. If you live outside Poland and want to use Player, Telewizja Polska Video on Demand, Polsat Box Go, or similar platforms without a VPN. As you probably already know, it's not really possible. Just connect to a server in Poland and the problem is solved. Now all the platforms see me as someone connecting from the country. It's that simple. Another reason is censorship. In mainland China, you can't log into Gmail, you can't watch YouTube, and you can't log into Facebook. In fact, many Western websites are completely blocked there. But China isn't Poland, and here it's not a big issue, though there are still some websites we can't access from Poland without tunneling. The most obvious reason why we should use a VPN is when we connect to public Wi-Fi networks. Our mobile operators are increasingly offering such powerful, healthy data packages, but it still happens that when we run out of data, we connect to a network. At the airport, on the bus, or heaven forbid, at school or at work, and well, there's probably nothing more foolish. The truth is that a major internet provider is unlikely to just browse your browsing history without a good reason. but with a court order, absolutely. But what really stops a network administrator at your school or workplace from browsing all your network traffic? I myself witnessed at my workplace that one person was fired. That person was browsing things that, in theory, shouldn't be browsed, and even though they were doing it on their own, completely private phone, it was connected to the company's Wi-Fi. So there wasn't even any discussion. They had to pack up and just leave. But what do you think? Can a manager just check what employees are doing during their break like that? Write your opinion in the comments. And even though it was many years ago, after that incident I decided it wasn't worth tempting fate. Because later dragging things through the courts and explaining what someone can or can't do won't be entertaining for me. And since then, I've become more interested in VPNs. But you know what? I still haven't seen a VPN provider who doesn't boast in their materials that they are the fastest and only they are the fastest. Well, that's marketing. Over the years, I've tested a lot of VPNs and only a small handful are actually worth anything. I also believe that the speeds offered by CyberGhost will fully satisfy even more advanced users. Besides, I'm not a politician to make promises that aren't true and have no basis. For me, facts are what matter. In short, it's time for benchmarks. The first test is on a Windows laptop without VPN to check native internet speed. Here, using an Orange connection, with a maximum download speed of 1 gigabit per second and 300 megabits for upload. In practice, we download at 945 and upload slightly over 300 megabits. So let's launch the CyberGhost app, connect to a server in Warsaw, and I have to point out that we're running these tests from Poznan, which is 300 kilometers away. Here there's also a drop, but like I said, we're connecting to a server in Warsaw and the speed still gets close to 850 megabits per second. When it comes to upload speeds, the drop here is really minimal. Testing on an Android smartphone is also a must. This time I'm doing it from Dublin, Ireland. But through the 5G mobile network without a VPN, the smartphone downloads at a speed of 450 megabits per second and uploads at 142. A WireGuard encrypted connection to the CyberGhost server is now established, so we're repeating the measurements. This time the drop is much more noticeable, which also proves that servers are not the same in every country. The one in Poland sure works fine, but in small Ireland they apparently used something weaker. However, situations change, so it's important to repeat tests regularly. Android television is still Android, but we should also check how the app performs on a set-top box connected to the television. For this purpose, I'll use the NVIDIA Shield device, which I reviewed about 6 years ago, but don't worry, this device still works just fine. I'm launching the app, checking if the correct protocol is selected, and connecting again to Ireland. Television boxes are for watching, so instead of synthetic tests, I'll just play a movie. I'm selecting the highest quality, 4K high dynamic range surround sound, and the file is a massive 86 gigabytes. People who pay for Netflix and other mass-market streaming services can't compare when it comes to quality, because none of them even come close to this level. Maybe I'll make a video about what I'm using here someday. If you're interested, give this video a like and leave a comment saying you want a video dedicated to this completely different streaming service. If you want to quickly learn what it is, how to use it, and set it up properly, then those who support my channel and have access to Discord have already received a complete guide like that, so I encourage you to support. Anyway, getting back to the topic, I moved the video forward and, well, as we can see, everything works as it should. The video doesn't freeze or buffer. The playback is running from a plugin based on torrents, so using a VPN with this streaming is highly recommended, and as you can see, CyberGhost handles it perfectly. Let's take a look at an episode of a series that's over 10 gigabytes. And what can I say? This is living the dream. It runs like gold. It's perfect for me. But I came across some information somewhere saying that the app on Apple devices works much slower. So let's do a test from Poznan on an iPhone 13 Pro Max without a VPN. We have 633 megabits down and 301 up. Let's launch the app, connect, and repeat the test. It's pulling close to 500 megabits per second, finally stopping at 502. The upload finished with a result of 282 megabits per second, which is pretty much the maximum on this connection anyway. I can't say that's a bad result compared to what this device usually gets. Just to be sure, let's try it on the iPad Pro as well. Here we have 753 megabits per second download, 309 upload. Again, a quick CyberGhost connection. We click start and it goes over 630 megabits down and 275 up. So realistically, this VPN is fast enough that you won't notice any drop in speed while connected to it. Yes, you can see it on the chart, but it's a small price for the security we gain. Also, remember that none of the tests were done from Warsaw, where the CyberGhost server is, but from 300 kilometers away. Some VPN services slow down such gigabit connections to 20 or 30 megabits, and then it really gets unpleasant. Here, I don't see any reason to complain. For me, the speed is very good, but the service itself also has many other advantages. A large number of servers, many of which are specialized for streaming or torrent downloading, and the WireGuard protocol also doesn't put a strain on our device, especially mobile ones. In my view, one of the biggest advantages is the low price for this quality of service and speed. These €2.03, which at the time of preparing this text amounted to 8 zlotys and 88 groszy per month, that's basically nothing. If we divide that by 7, it comes out to a ridiculously low amount of 1 zloty and 26 groszy per month. Why 7? CyberGhost lets you use the service on 7 devices simultaneously. If you want to split the cost with your family or friends, you absolutely can, and, to put it colloquially, no one will give you a hard time about it. In fact, that's exactly what it says on the CyberGhost website. If you want, you can share your login details with people you trust. In that case, those 7 devices may not be enough. That's why, if you want to get the most out of the service and share it with your friends, instead of installing the app on each device separately, just set it up on your router. That way, all the computers and TVs in your house will be protected right away, and you'll only use one of your available slots. You take your smartphone everywhere with you, so it's worth having the app installed there. A VPN router protects your home from malicious sites, blocks ads, and stops tracking. There's also an option here to force the Secure Hypertext Transfer Protocol secure protocol on all visited websites, which is definitely a great addition. Such a unique price is only available if we decide to purchase the service upfront for a full 2 years. And yes, it's quite a high amount to pay at once, but if you don't like something or it doesn't work as expected for you, you have a 45-day full money-back guarantee, so you're not risking even a penny. And during that time, you can still use it and really check if and how you like this service. Even if you don't have the funds today to go for such a 2-year subscription, just install the free plugin or, even better, use their free browser. It's true that there are only a few locations to choose from, and the servers assigned to this free version aren't very fast either. But look, no one is asking anything from you and you can use them for as long as you want. This method of encryption only works through the browser. The rest of the system remains unsecured, so it's worth keeping that in mind. If you ever decide to fully secure your devices, then the dedicated app with a full subscription will definitely help you with that. As I already mentioned at the beginning, no VPN service is perfect. CyberGhost has some drawbacks you should know before buying. Well, although CyberGhost is commonly recommended for streaming, recently there have been more issues with tricking Netflix that were said to be connecting from Poland, but were actually outside the country. It's better to make Netflix think that we're in the States, for example, which actually gives us access to a much larger library of titles. That works, but doing it the other way around doesn't work as well. It's a problem, but I don't think it's anything significant. Since with CyberGhost you can use much better streaming with better quality and basically have access to every movie and television show. For more details right now, I invite my patrons to Discord. Leave a like and a comment if you want me to make a dedicated video about this app. See you next time.